Wow, I have missed you all so much. You have no idea what a crazy week I've had. I'm just going to whine for a minute. We haven't done a show in almost a week. Well, see, we had the 3-day weekend. I had all the intentions in the world of doing a show on Saturday, no electric. Sunday, no Wi-Fi. Monday was the holiday. My husband threw his back out, so his back was all locked up. So didn't do a show on Tuesday. He was off work. And I wasn't 100% sure if he was going to be okay on Wednesday, so I didn't plan a show. But I'm glad you all didn't forget about me and this tiny little awesome community we have. Good morning, Jenbug. And look, we have comments on the screen. Fancy pants. Fancy pants. Wow. It's a little tip that was given. That if the comments are like on the screen and not on the side, people tend to be a little nicer. But don't have to worry about you guys because, well, you all are amazing. Let's take, speaking of amazing, Diana Howry's here. We have been playing phone tag for days. You know, last week we sent out all the prayers and the get wells for our friend Diana. Well, she's out of the hospital now, but not out of the woods. Let's make sure and send another get well to Diana. Angie Baby said on Wednesdays we wear pink. Well, I missed Wednesday. And I don't remember right now if I had pink on. I had a shade of pink on. I had on some Kansas City Chiefs stuff. Yes, I did. Well, I tell you what, I cannot believe the updates that are coming out. I know some people have got a bad opinion about the police that are investigating and handling the disappearance of Jack and Lily Sullivan. I think they're doing a really good job. I mean, they jumped right on that search, and now you can tell they're zeroing in on an investigation. So many things have come out, I would just say, in the last 24 hours. So let's talk about it. But first, let's tell each other, good morning, and I missed you. Woo, a lot going on. Turns out that the children were seen the day before. The article says, seen with family members, as in more than one, the day before they disappeared, or I'll say the day before 911 was called. Well, that's something else, isn't it? Because we were under the impression that the children were homesick. I don't know about you parents in here, but last thing I want to do is drag a sick kid to the grocery store or anywhere else. They're whining, they're crying, they're fussy, they're feverish, they got upset bellies, you name it. Now, who saw them? I don't know. My assumption is they got this from CCTV. Okay, so we know they were around, I'll say it that way, on May 1st. Cody Sullivan, his aunt, is speaking out. Daniel passed a lie detector test. The CBC put that out yesterday. CBC. B as in boy. C, B as in boy, C. Not CDC. Someone thought I said CDC, and I'm like, they have nothing to do with this. Now we have a new timeline because law enforcement wants dash cam footage from April 28th at noon up until May 2nd at noon. So that would be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So anybody that was on that road that they live on, they want the dash cam footage. What the hey? Woo! Seems to me we have a whole new timeline here, but we do know that they were alive and well and walking about town or whatever they were doing with family members on Thursday, the day before they were reported missing. Makes zero sense to me because supposedly you have 2 kids at home sick. And as we know, you have 2 adults right there in the house. You have Daniel and you have Malaya. So somebody can go do their farting around town while somebody else watches the baby and Lily and Jack. Not to mention, good old grandma lives right there on the property. And the uncle. No point in dragging them out. So it seems to me they weren't sick. I never believed the sick story in the first place. So why keep them out of school? Did she really want to sleep in and not get her kids ready for school Thursday and Friday, but still got them ready because they went out on Thursday? I don't know. There's a lot of talk about mine shafts in the area. I have no idea what it would take to search a mine shaft. No idea. We know there's a lot of theories and a lot of speculations. I don't see anything wrong with that because you don't want the chatter to stop. Reason being, there's always a right fighter within these circles. Hence, the aunt that's been talking to people in comments on CBC. Nothing makes sense, and there's tons of red flags. So let's start with what's most important, and that is what the police are telling us. Here are their updates. This is a Nova Scotia warden on the ongoing search for Jack and Lily. This just came out a few hours ago.
Welcome back. We want to return to our top story. We learned today the 2 Sullivan children, aged 6 and 4, were seen in public a day before they disappeared. We've reached Robert Parker. He is the warden of the municipality of Pictou County. He is in Central West River. Warden, good of you to join us. We won't talk specifically about the case because I know that you're not privy to information on this. But what do you think the sense will be in your community tonight when people hear even the slightest bit of new information from the RCMP? How is it received?
I think any bit of new information is wanted and needed. One thing that's short in this sad affair is good information. And when good information isn't available, then false information or whatever people decide on their own, that gets spread around. So any bit of information is good, but it doesn't tell us a lot. It tells us that little Lily and Jack were there the day before they disappeared, which is what was assumed all along.
Well, I mean, I know the warden is saying it was assumed all along that they were there the day before, but not really. Not really. It's a good assumption now since they have what I would call proof of life on the day before. 100%. We still know what the investigators have been asking for. The trail cams from another community member. Not this community, but you know what I mean, in Nova Scotia. Now they want dash cam footage from noon to noon, Monday through Friday. And assumptions work if you're right. Assumptions are actually a lot of times pretty spot on, but you need the evidence to back it up. So now we have another question. After what was going on Thursday, did they make it home? Were they even in there on Friday? I would say so, because Daniel has begged for and passed a lie detector test. Now, you all know I could care less about lie detector tests, okay? Different equipment, different questions, different blood pressure, different respiratory rates. It's really not evidence, but it helps the police what to ask. It really does. And it was put out in the local news in Canada yesterday that he passed a lie detector test. That's crazy that they put that out. Crazy.
And what was told by the parents that they disappeared that morning. So it sort of lends some credence to that, I guess, and takes away some of the stories of, well, they hadn't been around for a week and things like that. But it's, there's still a long ways to go. And I think the RCMP are struggling, to find any little bit of lead they can. And so they know the public is hungry for answers. So they're letting out whatever they can. So I don't know if this information was available before and they just hadn't let it out, or, if it wasn't available and whatever made it available now. I'm not sure of the facts on that.
Yeah, and something in that release today, police are asking for video for a very specific time from noon, April the 28th to noon on May 2nd. How many people would have, say, surveillance on their properties or on their vehicles in that rural area that you might be aware of?
I was up to that site today for another reason, but there's a very sparse population there. Like there's some homes along the road. So there may be.
Okay, this is important. This old boy that kind of looks like Chris McDonough's first cousin says it's very sparse, as in people. There's a few people that live on the road, and this is important. That kind of limits the abduction theory that some people still have. I'm not going with an abduction theory because the local authorities have already said no abduction. Forget about it. Forget about it. It's easier to commit a crime in the dark than in the day, don't you think? And we have to admit that all the pictures we have seen of, I'll say, the homestead seem pretty chaotic. I mean, there's shit and junk everywhere. Shit and junk everywhere.
Be a chance that people do try to protect their properties now with cameras. So there may be a chance that there would be something, but they are going back then, according to that, about 5 days before the children went missing. So, they're looking for anything, I think, right now that would give them some idea. I think they've searched the woods so hard. The RCMP seem firmly convinced that they weren't abducted. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of options here. And
he said, the police don't feel like there was any abduction. Well, they would know. They're the authorities. They're the ones that know how to track evidence. Well, when it comes to children, it leaves two things. They wandered off, or somebody wandered off with them, as in foul play. Because stranger abduction is rare, very rare. We've only come across it once on our channel, and that's with Michael Vaughn. Ilyanka said, how many people that live in the middle of nowhere and low income can even afford a dang dash cam? You would be surprised about people in their electronics. But also you have to remember that truck drivers always have dash cams. It's a insurance clause, so they can defend themselves in court. And just from people I have spoken to around there, it actually, trucks can get around there to make their deliveries. Strange, I know. But if they see something, it's just such a weird block of time they have. April 28th till May 2nd. They want to know who all was going up and down that road. Okay. I just wonder why they don't want anything else. They're not asking for, I'm not saying they don't want it. They're not asking for anything after noon on the 2nd. You know? That doesn't make sense to me. But hey, they're the guys. I'm not.
So, yeah, they're looking for anything, I think, right now that would give them some idea. I think they've searched the woods so hard. RCMP seem firmly convinced that they weren't abducted. So that doesn't leave a whole lot of options here. And so, like I say, people are coming up with their own options. So I'd like there to be more information released, but perhaps the RCMP can't do that for their search reasons.
What? Yeah. So you would like concrete information, because I imagine there's a whole misinformation that's swirling around and people filling that void with what they think might have happened.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on, and it's not healthy because some people are being accused, I guess is probably too strong a word, but of being implicated that may not have any guilt at all of anything. But people are, like I say, searching for answers, and I think they're becoming frustrated at this point is the best way to put it. It's not.
And I see what he's saying. I mean, and there are some people that are flat out accusing. Do you think that there's anything wrong with pointing out red flags that you see, such as missing time, chaotic household? Was there a party? Was there not? I was talking to Pat Kay this morning and I said, we went through this in the Kylie Rodney case. Doesn't look like that much of a party to me. Listen, I can have my neighbor Linda over and my cat and call it a party. So their idea of a party and my idea of a party are totally different. We already heard the neighbor that called in to Josh's channel that said she heard that there was a party, that there was a lot of cars there. Now also Daniel, at one time, I'm not saying right now, he was selling a bunch of cars. So that's a lot of cars in the driveway. This lady said, I have to wonder if they'll ever be found, let alone if we'll ever know the truth of what happened to them. They live 500 feet from me, and I didn't even know kids lived there at all. I thought it was a drug house. I'm not putting this woman's name out, but she's using her name on the internet to speak about this case. So if you want to say she's lying, she's not hard to find. She said, there's always cars there, and it's so odd to me, but I can't remember clearly if it was Wednesday or Thursday, but there were so many cars there on that particular day that the driveway was full, and a car was even parked on the side of the main road. It was like 2 p.m. at the latest. I remember driving past, judging them. Woo, judging them. Woo. Thinking how they were probably in there sharing a crack pipe or whatever. And then boom, Friday, this all comes out. Okay, she lives there. I don't.
I think they're becoming frustrated at this point is the best way to put it. It's not to the point of anger at the RCMP or at anybody else, but they're frustrated. They know people have tried very hard to find the little ones, but they're hoping against hope that this just doesn't become one of those cold cases that kind of goes away. So they want to keep attention on this issue, I think.
Well, it's been nearly, a month now since Lily and Jack Sullivan have been missing.
Coming up on a month.
Yeah. How are the emotions?
Well, like I say, frustration I find now, the sadness when they weren't found by the searchers. I think everybody was hopeful they were going to find them alive to start with, and then at least to, if not alive, then at least have closure for the families. But absolutely nothing I've heard has been found, and to have that many searchers covering that area for that long and to find absolutely nothing. I was even told, I don't know the facts of it, but that the dogs didn't really find any trail to follow. So that.
Okay, right there. He said the dogs didn't find any trail to follow. We heard a clip, a week ago today, of someone saying that the dogs not picking up any scent of the children is beyond troubling and beyond bizarre. By the way, if you guys are in any of the Facebook groups for Jack and Lily, I am on a little bit of a Facebook furlough. If you could share this, it would be amazing. I would appreciate it very much. Your personal page is always appreciated, but groups where it's concentrated on the case, get the word out more, if that makes any sense.
Don't know the facts of it, but the dogs didn't really find any trail to follow. So that leaves you wondering then what did happen, and we really need the people of the county and beyond in the province and the country need to know. One thing I've said many times before is that these little children they belong to a family, but they also belong to all of us. I think we all have a need and a want to protect our children, whether they're our children in the community, in the school, wherever they are. People here in Pictou County especially see those as our children, and they very much want to know what happened to them.
We've heard about the challenge of the environment and what that poses. We've seen pictures of it. But for viewers who may not be familiar with the area, can you describe just how much of a challenge that is for searchers as they go out?
Well, our woods here in Pictou County are a real mess after Fiona. There's just, trees crisscrossed everywhere. A piece of woods that you could walk through from one end to the other in 10 minutes now takes you over an hour. And any woods that hasn't been harvested is in a real mess. And so it's tough going for the searchers. And that's why some people are still saying, maybe they are in there. Maybe they, a lot of the trees are uprooted. Maybe they crawled in under one of those big roots up in the air and are hidden in somewhere where searchers perhaps, covered it several times but didn't see them. So that's a possibility. But the other thing about the forest up in that area, it's large. Like you go a long distance without having to hit a road or hit anything. And it's a real heavily wooded area. And I was out mowing my lawn this morning. There were black flies everywhere. So you can just imagine if you were in the woods searching and swinging at black flies and crawling over branches and down trees. And they said there's ticks up there. It's a rough country to be searching in.
Warden, it's a difficult time, I realize. We thank you for coming on here and sharing all that with us tonight. And no doubt we'll be speaking with you again.
I'll just say to everybody, keep your prayers there for the little ones. We need to know the answers at least, and the prayers are for everybody really, because there's nothing worse than not knowing what happened to our little ones.
Well said. Robert Parker is the warden of the municipality of Pictou County. We'll take a timeout. We'll be back with more of your program after this.
We're back now. We don't have to wait for their program, my friends. I don't know how skilled Jack and Lily were when I say were as in past tense, when they lived on the property, because let's face it, they're never going to live on that property again. How they wouldn't know how to get themselves back home. It's cold. He's in a diaper. She's not exactly dressed for the wilderness. And if the black flies are that bad, I can only speak for what they have reported over and over and over. They would have to run in some direction. They'll eat you alive. That's bad. And they keep talking about this Hurricane Fiona that happened in 2022, and it's still a mess. It is still a mess. Like he said, trees crisscrossed, roots up in the air, hollowed out trunks. They could have gone to hide somewhere. It is a possibility. Not the possibility that people want to talk about and speculate about, but it is a possibility. All right, now then, this is what I really cannot believe.
The clue when they said no abduction. That's a big statement to make at this early in the game.
It's been 24 days since Lily and Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home in Lansdowne Station.
Okay, let's talk about that. This gentleman said that's a big statement to make this early in the game. To deny an Amber Alert because the criteria doesn't fit because there's no abduction. I was thinking about this yesterday. Are they wanting a week's worth of dash cam and the trail cams because they might actually now be considering an abduction? I'm not part of the meet and greet there at the police department, so I don't know. What do you all think?
Family members have speculated the children were taken, but police have remained adamant they do not believe the siblings were abducted. According to Nova Scotia's recently updated policing standards, abduction is defined as when a person under 18 years of age or a vulnerable person is taken without the permission of their legal guardian. Jim Hoskins is a retired HRP officer and former major crimes staff sergeant. Despite not working the Sullivan case himself or being privy to any information regarding RCMP's ongoing investigation, he can see only two remaining possibilities.
What I see from the outside, there's only two options here. Criminal involvement, search, they haven't found them yet. They legitimately got lost in the woods. I felt, okay, let's give them a couple days to see if these kids are just wandered off because they're only 6 and 4. So are they lost? They'll find them, maybe. If not, let's see how far it goes. And I says, and if it goes beyond 2 or 3 days, uh-oh. That was my reaction. What's next? Uh-oh.
A feeling felt across the province that could be driving public obsession with this case.
Canada in 2024, there were just over 30,000 cases of missing children. The vast majority of those cases involve runaways or they involve teens. And actually about 90% of those cases are resolved within a 1-week period. So anytime cases deviate from that, right, I think that is going to draw in the public. And of course, there's the public's desire to see it resolved.
Yeah, people want to know. They want to know. They're scared for their own children. Nobody wants to believe we have a society, which we do. Breaking news, we do. Of people that don't take care of their children. And she's right. RCMP, and they actually put out a statement. They said over the last 10 years, the RCMP has investigated over 78,000 missing children cases. 98% of these cases were solved within 30 days of the child going missing. Now remember, these all aren't in Nova Scotia. A missing child is not just a statistic. It's a life that matters. And then there's a link if somebody wants to go and look at all the missing children's cases that they have solved. So I know a lot of people say they're lazy, they're no good, they're bums, they're like Norm from Cheers that shows up and gets drunk and sticks his tab with someone else, you know. But they're saying we do know how to solve these cases. And since now Daniel has passed a lie detector test, which I don't care about lie detector tests. I did see something in a comment thing saying that in Canada, polygraphs can be used in court. I don't know. I just know that Canadian Broadcasting Corporation put out a statement saying he did pass it.
Is deviate from that, right? I think that is going to draw in the public. And of course, there's the public's desire to see it resolved.
Although Stevens cannot comment on individual cases, she says when children in particular go missing, this tends to be harder for the public to digest.
It taps into a lot of the fears that, for example, parents might hold about the safety of their children. But it's really important to remember that of those, for example, 30,000 cases, about 0.1% were cases of like a stranger or parental abduction.
Despite rumors online of criminal motives and cover-ups, Lily and Jack's stepfather, Daniel Martel, has refuted all claims of his involvement, offering to take a polygraph test. And Hoskins says there's still a chance the children are close by.
You can't write it off and say they're definitely not in the woods. I can still say you can get overlooked. You can overlook bodies.
Searchers were back in the woods near the home a week ago, but there have been no significant updates since. In all his years as a police officer, Hoskins says what strikes him most is the probability of something like this happening.
It's bizarre. If you ask me what was bizarre, I'd say in this case, 2 with this particular family. 2 are gone.
Ella MacDonald, Global News.
Woo! 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 And again, I could care less about polygraph tests because they're not used in court here. I don't know if they're allowed to be used in court in Canada. Pat Kay's looking at that for me. The stepfather of the missing Nova Scotia children, Lily and Jack Sullivan, reportedly passed a lie detector test, according to reports from the CBC and the National Post. So that's 2 reputable, I'm assuming, news agencies in their area. He voluntarily took the test in an attempt to clear up speculation surrounding the children's disappearance. The RCMP has confirmed that a polygraph test was administered and that the results indicated no involvement from the stepfather in the children's disappearance. Okay. I know some people were arguing about this and they're like, they don't tell you if you passed or failed. Of course they do. Of course they do. You have every right to know what they have on you. That's nuts. But the police have confirmed that he took it and that the results indicated no involvement. Okay. And for the millionth time, I don't care about lie detector tests. It's too many freaks have passed them, and too many innocent people have failed them. So one thing they were talking about in the earlier clip we heard is that, there's a lot of chatter. People are trying to implicate people, making flat out accusations. I can imagine what their tip line looks like. We've seen it before. We've seen it over and over again. Well, against my better judgment, I'm going to put this up. Old Dolly Vision is offering $5,000 for info. Now, at first, I about fell off my couch when I saw this and thought, Dolly, your dumbass don't have no $5,000. And if you did, you're not going to share it with your tip line. So then I started thinking about it. And I'm like, this is not a bad idea. Because if somebody in their circle, remember, we heard about the parties, lots of cars, lots of friends, somebody for $5,000 might recall a convo. And you have to call in during the show so it's recorded. Nobody's going to call that number and Dolly pick up. No, it's during the show. So, hey, you get info, you get info. Don't expect $5,000. Ooh, that was a horrible thing to say. Actually, I'll say this. If you know something, maybe you'll get the $5,000. Hey, $5,000 is $5,000. $5,000. It's not going to change your life. But $5,000 is $5,000. All right, back to this new timeline we have.
What began as a frantic search for 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan has settled into a silence that grips Lansdowne Station.
It just blows my mind that there's absolutely nothing.
RCMP are now offering new information to the public of the siblings' movements before they went missing.
Based on details gathered so far, we have confirmed that Lily and Jack were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st.
Investigators are appealing for more video.
Investigators are now asking anyone who has dash cam footage or video along Garlick Road between noon on April 28th and noon on May 2nd to contact Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit.
They should have brought camera footage to the RCMP almost immediately if they lived in such a close range.
I have to agree with Daniel here. They should have already been turning things over if they lived in such a close range. I think a lot of it comes down to people don't want to get involved unless they have to get involved. I don't know how warrants and requests work there, so I can't say. I can't say it all. It does kind of make you wonder, after all this time, because, I mean, hell, tomorrow's 4 weeks. Yes, my friends, tomorrow is 4 weeks. I think when they stopped the search and started the investigation, they're doing things gradually. Of course, it's not going to be fast enough for any of us, okay? Because, you know, we want answers and we want them now. But different agencies do things in different ways. Let's take a second and thank Kimberly Mann for making it rain. Ooh! My friend Ashley said Dolly is getting his passport. Yeah, I heard a couple of other creators are as well. I don't think they understand that the stomping and the yelling and the protesting and the making a mess in another country isn't gonna work out for them. Okay? We have a First Amendment here. And even with that, you have to kind of watch a little bit what you do, especially when you're harassing people, whether they're guilty or innocent. So I hope they're careful. I really hope they're careful. They're going to have to go in acting like they're on vacation. And I don't want them in jail. I don't want them in jail. It just makes a mess. It just makes a mess for the case. But back to what Daniel said, he seems to be frustrated that they haven't gotten all this video and everything before. Again, it was released by RCMP and 2 different news stations that he passed a lie detector test. I would be requesting that type of cooperation from the mama, Malaya, the biological daddy, Cody. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Grandma, who lives there on the property and kicked Malaya out the next day. And the brother. The only verification we have of this type of law enforcement work is from Daniel. Sorry, that Daniel took one. Not Daniel just saying it like Dawn and Candace. Daniel took one. It's been confirmed.
Lived in such a close range. I don't know why people would wait 3 weeks later or...
During the initial search for the children, 160 people scoured 5.5 square kilometer of forest with drones, dogs, and aircraft, but that's since quieted down.
I know they're working hard and they have all the technology in the world to use. We all want answers.
Investigators have now reviewed hours of trail video and followed up on more than 355 tips. Over 50 have been interviewed, and RCMP says it plans to speak to others. While official searches have scaled back, the children's stepfather keeps going, retracing ground already searched.
I want them home. Trying to make my way through every day when the only support I have is my family. Malaya's not here. My kids are not here.
Todd, the stepfather tells me that despite major crimes being involved, he's been told that this investigation is being treated as a missing persons case. He also insists that he's been cooperating with the police, including providing a polygraph test, which he did, and he says he passed. Todd?
And the RCMP has said that they have spoken with some 50 individuals. Thank you, Hafsa Arif, tonight for us.
Whoa. We went from 35 last week when we did this show to 50. To 50. That's a lot, my friends. That's a lot. That is a lot. All right, now we're going to get to the aunt. This is Cody Sullivan's aunt. Okay, give me a second. Un momento. Her name is Daphne Ann Sullen. By the way, this is from CBA News Post. And it is public, so no need to keep names out. She said the kids didn't even go in the woods in the first place. Plus, they have dogs in the yard, which if someone adopted them, the dogs would have made a noise. I say they were taken off the land by someone close to them and by quad or vehicle, and they are nowhere in the dense woods. So just stop searching because they're not there. You need to put these two people in interrogation for 2 to 4 hours and see which one is going to crack, because I know they're nowhere around that area whatsoever. I know that, so please do an interrogation. Well, I don't know that they haven't. Tell the mother you're going to take away the baby or take the baby away from her, whatever the case may be, to get her to talk, because something has got to be done before it's too late. I say the kids are probably in Halifax Harbor. It's sad to say, but it's a reality. Woo! Whoa. Okay. I spoke to my aunt, who is a Canadian citizen, has been since 1972. First thing she said was Halifax Harbor. I was like, oh, okay, I know nothing about it. Our friend Suds is back. Suds said the fact that they're indigenous makes them highly valuable to traffickers. My aunt said something kind of similar. Okay, Aunt Daphne. It has been discussed that the baby, Meadow, was taken by CPS because that's what Daniel said. Right? Obviously, Daniel was wrong because Daphne said, oh no, she still got her baby with her at her mother's place. I agree, they're nowhere near their homestead. She went on to say, thank you so much. I kept my mouth shut for too long. It's very hard reading about your very own family. Great niece and nephew. They are just babies. I hope Lily and Jack are found soon. Alive would definitely be amazing and happy. But if not, to find the bodies for closure. This woman asked, why isn't your nephew doing anything to find his kids? This got a lot of people upset. She said, why? Because he doesn't want to be down around those people. Battery's not allowed. Because let's face it, look at this. Daniel made it clear that Malaya was kicked off the property when they got into that fight on Friday. She had to hit the ground running on May 3rd, the day after. Right there. Daniel addressed the children's mother's departure, stating she did not leave voluntarily. She was forced off the property. Woo! All right, we get back to the aunt. She said, no, they are not around their home thing. About that, the dogs couldn't even pick up a scent of any of the little ones. They were taken out of that yard by quad or vehicle and placed someone far away. Now, I don't think she's on the up and up with the investigation, but she seems to have a lot of ideas, and she's taken up for her nephew for sure. Because you heard what she said. He doesn't want to be down there around those people. It kind of makes you wonder, what would keep you away from trying to find your child? Unless investigators said, do not go out there and search. It's too dangerous. We don't want to be looking for you as well. I don't know.
I've got a lot of questions regarding the biological father of Lily and Jack Sullivan. Who is he? Where is he? Why haven't we heard from him? And the list goes on. I have been digging into this for the past couple of days, and can finally bring you all the information I could find on him. Lily and Jack's biological father's name is Cody Lee Sullivan. There has been a lot of speculation surrounding him, with some claiming that his reason for not speaking out about his children's disappearance is because he is in prison. I can confirm that he is not in prison, and is awaiting an October 2025 court date. Cody was born in the year 1996, and as far as I know has 2 children, Jack and Lily.
To be quite honest, I think it might have been a bit of a shock to Cody and his dad and his aunt and his side of the family where the kids even were. Because he hasn't seen his kids in a very long time because Malaya doesn't want him around the children. Now, could that be because of him having a criminal record? I don't know. And she's not speaking out about it.
And as far as I know has 2 children, Jack and Lily. On Friday, June 21st of 2024, shortly after 8 p.m., a local resident...
Hold on, we'll come back to that. Lori Green, I don't understand your comment. See something, how the hell do you know that? Proof, please. What are we looking for? What proof, baby? What are we looking for? What proof are we looking for?
Jack and Lily. On Friday, June 21st of 2024, shortly after 8 p.m., a local resident was robbed of a high-priced item. The police received a complaint from an online marketplace seller, who stated they had met up with the purchaser at the agreed-upon place, when the purchaser, who we now know was Cody Sullivan, produced a knife. He demanded the merchandise and then left the area in a pickup truck. The seller was able to get a description of the vehicle and its last known direction of travel, which enabled police officers to catch up with the suspect vehicle quickly. The merchandise was located inside the vehicle and returned to the seller. Thankfully, no one was injured during this incident.
Woo! So Cody trying to scam people on that old Facebook marketplace, isn't he? Hey, sleuthy girl. I appreciate you, baby. Thank you, babe. And for those of you that are new here, raise your hand if you're new. If someone asks a question, they're not accusing. They're just asking a question. I have a million questions. I have a million questions. It doesn't mean I'm accusing anyone. I'm just simply asking a question.
The suspect, Cody Lee Sullivan, was arrested and held in custody. The next day, the 22nd June, he appeared before a judge and was released on bail. Why he hasn't come out to speak about his missing children and plead to find.
I'm going to ask a question right now. I need everyone's feedback. I need everyone's feedback. Oh, Angie's new. And Angie was the first one in here. Well, I'll tell you what, you're super new. Already a member and everything. Holy hell. I have a question. Since Cody is not behind bars, he's out and about, free man, do you think it's odd that he isn't speaking out via social media or local news stations advocating for his children? Put a 1 in chat if you think it's odd that he's not, and 2 if you're like, nah, I get it. I get it. Oh, I get this too. I get this too. Stacy just gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Holy hell. All right, let me look at your comments right here. True Crime Beat, always the centrist. She's also a vegan, said I'm in between on it. Thank you, True Crime Beat, for letting us know. Jola said, I don't think he cares. Kimberly Mann put a 2 in there. Thin Mint said, no, he'd get attacked. Muddies the water. Muddies the water, doesn't it? Or it can.
The suspect, Cody Lee Sullivan, was arrested and held in custody. The next day, the 22nd June, he appeared before a judge and was released on bail. Why he hasn't come out to speak about his missing children and plead to find them, I don't know. I don't know how involved he was in the raising of them. Something that online sleuths are pointing out is that Lily and Jack seem to be very close with the stepfather. In this picture, we can see them standing close to him instead of their mother. From someone claiming to be Daniel's friend, it was said that he does more for the children than their own mother.
This blew my mind when this came out by a buddy of Daniel's saying Daniel does more for the children than the mother, which I guess would make sense now because on Friday morning, May 2nd, is when they were trying to sleep in and Lily kept coming in. The mom has really nothing to say about it, but Daniel does. Lori Green said, I'm bothered because speculation is out of order without proof. It's getting just like Sebastian Rogers' case. It's becoming a circus. I don't do that here. I don't like that here. I like articles, receipts, and conversation. Now, for what others do, and I can give you a list of what's about to happen, especially since so many people are getting passports all of a sudden, wanting to go tour Nova Scotia. You're not going to catch me being a part of that. But connect the dots as you want. Ask questions. Say, did you hear about this? I do it all the time. I'm like, was I wrong when I heard this? Did I read this wrong?
Instead of their mother. From someone claiming to be Daniel's friend, it was said that he does more for the children than their own mother. Tables are quickly turning, while he is getting more support, as he is the only one at this point, speaking to media and trying to work with police by staying at the property and allowing them to search wherever they want. The mother, on the other hand, has been missing in action. She left and has not pleaded for her kids to be returned, even though she thinks they've been kidnapped. It speaks volumes.
It speaks a lot. It does speak a lot to parents. To parents. Veronica said the police are being smart. They're keeping it quiet. Yeah. I agree. They don't want a mess. And they've got a mess on their hands. Because, I mean, imagine trying to get a damn outside line to check on something and all lines are busy because people are calling in by some shit that somebody heard online. It happens. It happens in these cases. Not every case, but a lot of cases when they get a certain amount of attention. Hold on, I got to sneeze. Well, I guess I sucked that one back up. All right, now let's go back to the neighbor. We spoke about her on Friday. I do not believe she has anything to do with the children's disappearance. I have seen some crazy cakes out there, though, going, how do we know that the kids are in her house? She just handed over like 7 effing trail cams. Geniuses.
The SD card goes into the bottom here.
Melissa Scott has 7 of these trail cameras set up around her property. This week, she says the RCMP showed up asking for footage dating back 5 days before Lily and Jack Sullivan.
Okay, listen. It didn't ring a bell with me last Friday. Then, of course, I had an extra long Memorial Day vacation. They want the footage 5 days before the children disappeared on May 2nd. That's what's been reported. That would be April 28th. Okay? The 911 call was made on May 2nd. So they want 5 days of her footage. And then yesterday, they say they want 5 days of dash cam as well. They were even specific about noon on the 28th through noon on May 2nd. Oh, Lori, seriously? She just says goodbye, folks. Lori, no one's doing anything to you. You want me to kick out everybody out of here just so you can sit here? Come on, be a grown-up. Lori said, I'm on the fence in this case. I am too. We don't have the evidence. We don't have everything. It's not all out yet. I think pretty much everybody's on the fence. Daniel passes a lie detector test. Malaya's talked once. The dad's saying nothing. Grandma kicks Malaya out. Grandma's not talking publicly. The deadbeat brother living on the property, he's not saying shit. The timeline has really changed. Instead of just looking for what happened on May 2nd, they're backdating it 5 days. That's huge. That's a lot of questions going off in our heads.
Before Lily and Jack Sullivan were reported missing from their home.
I did mention to them that I was very happy to see them and glad that they were canvassing a little further and looking at trail cam footage. And they did respond saying that they probably should have been around earlier.
The children live in Lansdowne Station, an extremely rural area about 140 kilometers northeast of Halifax. As the crow flies, Scott's property is just over 5 kilometers from there. It's more than an 8-kilometer drive, but the two areas are also connected by train tracks.
They also asked our vehicles. We wanted to identify all of our vehicles so they could rule out local traffic.
The RCMP declined an interview and also refused to answer specific questions about what investigators are looking for on trail camera footage or why they're asking for video dating back 5 days.
Dating back 5 days, and now they want dash cams dating back 5 days. If they went missing on May 2nd, I really don't know how that would help them. If they're only asking specifically, say from 7 a.m. on May 2nd till 7 p.m., that would tell us a lot, would it not? But you know, May 1st, even though the kids were sick, they were seen with family members. And this is such an important point, Moonshadow. They just found the missing young man not far from his car in Nova Scotia. The dad found his body. Imagine. Law enforcement missed him, which can happen. So I think that they very well could be in those woods. If it is as dense as they report, crisscross trees, roots in the air, hollowed out trunks and everything, it would be easy to miss two little babies. It would. Now, grandma throwing Malaya out, knowing she has two children missing, I think it's pretty damn disgusting.
Camera footage, or why they're asking for video dating back 5 days before the kids were reported missing. The force says it isn't providing any further details right now to protect the integrity of its investigation. Police have said they got a 911 call from the children's mother and stepfather on May 2nd. They said 6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack had wandered away from their home. It sparked an extensive search.
Obviously, we care deeply.
Volunteers are being offered support.
A lot of our members have kids of their own, so obviously that makes it more challenging.
Scott says she provided hours of video.
And I didn't see anything on it, but they're welcome to have it, and maybe they'll see something I didn't.
The case is captivating the province with so many questions and so few answers about what may have happened to Lily and Jack. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Pictou County, Nova Scotia.
All right, I'm putting a link in if anybody wants to come up and chat with me. Lori Green, you've had a lot to say. Come on up. Come on up. Jeremiah said it's hearsay. That's what you heard. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know what's hearsay and what's not. I just know Daniel gave this report about his mom kicking Malaya out. This is from one of the local news agencies. Daniel addressed the children's mother's departure, stating she did not leave voluntarily, but was forced off the property by his mama. He said that following the children's disappearance, she relocated to stay with family in another part of the province and has since blocked him on social media. She did. Her Facebook's back up. According to Martel, tensions flared between the families on the day of the disappearance, leading to a confrontation in the yard. He said, "My mother had to ask some people to leave the property because they were accusing me of being involved." He goes on to say, "It's sad because I'm the only one looking for them." Woo! Woo! Now we get back to the aunt. Okay? Her comments are just a little bizarre. When people are talking about accusations, implications, speculation, oh, Cody's aunt is the queen of it right now. And I'm sure she's a very nice person. I'm sure she just cares. We went through it before. It's broken down a little different here.
How terribly sad that another weekend has gone by with no sign of siblings, Jack and Lily Sullivan. It doesn't seem like any searches took place. In fact, it looks like police are taking a whole different approach to the case now. They're scouring the neighborhood and local shops for footage from the days leading up to the children's disappearance. To me, that suggests they may believe the children vanished way before they were reported missing. Time will tell, but I hope there is movement in the case soon. Someone that didn't speak out at all is the biological father. It was said that he had no contact with the children at all. Today, we heard from his aunt, and what she has to say is pretty interesting. The aunt says that the biological dad was interrogated for 4 hours, as well as the grandmother of the kids. They never saw the kids in.
Okay. Now, I didn't see this comment, but Evil Exists reposted it. They interrogated her. She said, "That's not true, but I tell you who they interrogated for 4 hours, which is my nephew. That's Cody. That's Cody. The father of the kids and my sister-in-law, the grandmother, for what they never even seen the kids in a year and a half. She never kept the kids away from them." Hold on. She never kept. They didn't want them to know where they lived. I think she's typing too fast. They didn't want them to know where they lived or anything, because look where they live, what kind of house they were living in. Yeah, I wouldn't admit that shit either. I wouldn't either. Hell no. Hell no. I wouldn't I wouldn't have a Mary Kay party, invite my friends over to that fucking place. Hell no. No. She said they only live 40 minutes away. Sharing, I don't know who Sharing is, brought the kids up because boyfriend didn't like them. So why are the police interrogating my family? The police are RCMP, whatever the fuck you called, are full of fucking shit. They don't have a sweet fucking clue we look or what you're looking for. To me, my own opinion, that's all I've got to say. Just bring Lily and Jack home because we miss them and love you so much. Woo. Okay. She's mad.
In a year and a half because the mother keeps the kids away. They didn't want them to know where they lived or anything because look what kind of house they were living in. They only live 40 minutes away. This aunt has been speaking out in the comments on Facebook about what she believes happened to the kids. She thinks they are not close to him because the dogs couldn't pick up a scent. She feels they were taken far away in a vehicle or on a quad. She says here that the kids didn't go into the woods and they have dogs on the property. If someone abducted them, the dogs would have made a noise. She says the kids are probably in Halifax Harbor. Someone on Facebook asked this aunt why the biological father is not doing anything to find his kids. This is a question that many of us have asked from the beginning. According to this aunt, it's because he doesn't want to be around those people. I don't think it's a good enough excuse though. His children are missing, it doesn't matter who he wants to be around or not. His main priority should be finding the children, speaking to the media to keep their story and faces out there. It's just been silence from his side. The dad's mother has been posting regularly about the children on her Facebook page.
Wow. To give you an idea of what they're searching, this is from a channel called Tint out of Canada. And this person, very nice person, went out and took some drone footage. Just, you'll have to look at your screen for this. So as you can see, there's a lot of places to get lost. Now, This chick right here, Sadie, the Prime Minister is what she calls herself, did a show where she broke down the red flags. Now, this is where some people are going to get mad because they're going to say we're speculating, theorizing. I call it having a conversation. Okay? I call it having a conversation. It is very interesting to me, well, scary AF if you want to know the truth, that there's so many minds around there. Now, I need someone local or knows fuck all about Nova Scotia, because I don't, to explain this to me. That's a lot of minds. That's a lot. That looks like Bushy Head, Oklahoma. There's mines all over the place. It's always been speculated that, remember Susan, shoot, what's her last name? Dadgummit. Was married to the guy named Joshua. They were in Utah. He had the creepy dad. They had the 2 children. They went out in the middle of the night to go camping. Powell. Yep, Susan Powell. It's always been speculated that she's in a mine shaft somewhere. They're almost impossible. Yeah, Susan Powell. Thank you, Susan Powell. Whew, brain fart. They're almost impossible to search. I don't know about that area. It has just always been said, as long as this woman's been missing, that if she's in one of those mine shafts, forget about it.
And the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan. You may have seen interviews with their stepfather, Daniel Martell, and their mother, Malaya Brooks Murray. They both have shared very different accounts of what happened when their children vanished on May 2nd, 2025. But when you line their statements up side by side, certain patterns start to emerge and they raise serious questions. Lily is just 6 years old. Jack is 4. They disappeared from their home in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia, and despite over 160 searchers, there's still no trace. Today, we're breaking down 10 red flags I've identified from both parents' interviews. Each one might seem small on its own, but together, they may reveal something much deeper. Watch closely and let me know in the comments.
It's a lot to go through. It's a lot to even think about. Now then, you don't have to say, in my opinion, or anything in here unless you just want to throw it out. I think it's common knowledge that we are basically stating opinions on here. Start throwing out some red flags for me. Please start throwing out some red flags. Oh, I've got the biggest red flag backstage. Holy shit. Hold on. Good morning, Kat.
Hey, hi Brooks. Hi everyone in chat. I was just listening, and when you said red flags, I was like, oh, this is my jam. I've got so many of them, and I'm just waiting to hear. I haven't seen what you're about to show, so I just thought I'd come up and join you.
Baby, you're in the hot seat. You're in the hot seat, baby. So you tell me, what are your red flags? What are you seeing that's way off for you?
Okay, first of all, well, one of the biggest ones I have is, why do you have an argument with somebody on the property after your children have gone missing and be accusing, or your family is accusing the other person of being the one that got the children gone, when you were both there, according to your own story, and you both have exactly the same story about what you were doing, laying in bed, etc., the children outside playing, etc. You both have the same story, but you're going to allow the other one to be blamed for getting the kids gone. Don't make sense.
No, because if you're both in the house, wouldn't you know?
Well, you're at each other's alibis. So for the first day and a half, you're completely on each other's side. We're both each other's alibis. We both know what happened. And then your family comes along and goes, it was him. It was all him. And you go, yeah, it was all him. Even though you've got the same story as him, all of a sudden, and then you leave I know she got kicked off the property, but why would you allow your family to blame the other person if you were there as well and both have the same story in the beginning?
And that's where I do have a problem with Daniel, because he has a baby with Malaya.
Yeah.
And so for his mama to pull a granny Clampett and pull out the shot pew pew and run off the property, I would be like, no, 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 no. Yeah, we're having disagreement. Yeah, we're mad. Yeah, we're furious that we can't find the kids, but no one's going anywhere because the kids are in the woods. They're gonna find their way back here, and the mama needs to be here.
And they would know that each other wasn't involved. So why would she then leave the property and block him on Facebook and have all of that complete drama meltdown about it? She would have known he wasn't involved because she was, in her own words, there at the same time as him. So how could he be involved? That to me is suspicious as hell.
I think that's very odd too. I think it's odd that he's been screaming to have a lie detector test done for almost 4 weeks and got it done yesterday. And it's reported that there's no indication he's involved at all. That is from their police. That's their wording.
Yeah, I mean, I heard earlier on that they don't, I don't know if it's true or not because I don't live there, but they don't use lie detector tests as a matter of course. Like there's very few kind of trained people in Canada to do that kind of thing. So I think he was kind of angling for it. And first of all, they were saying to him, look, you know, it's actually quite a big thing to have a lie detector test because we've got to get all these people to come in that are trained, etc. But obviously they've done that now. So I don't know personally whether I have too many issues with him realistically, but the mother being another red flag I have is the whole story about, in the first place, the mother said that when they first got up to look for the kids, the door was closed. The sliding door was closed. Now, if you get up to find your kids and the sliding door is closed and you go on TV a few hours later and say, they're not the kind of kids that will go outside, we're always outside with them, which is what she did say. And we can't hear that door opening and closing. But I was laying in bed and we could hear the children and we thought, oh, they're playing outside. And then Daniel comes out and says, we're always telling them to keep that, like, shut that door behind them, close that door, close that door. So you're telling me that on the day they went missing was the day that they decided to get up and not only open a silent door that apparently is completely silent and they can't hear it opening and closing, but then they thought to actually shut the door behind them before they left the house. Like on this one particular day was the only day that they've ever closed that door behind them. It's so baffling to me that they put this story together. Or at least she did. She came out and almost completely contradicted. Every sentence she said was a contradiction of the one before. And her story sounded so rehearsed and so planned. So she's like, so what happened was we're laying in bed. And it's like, who lays in bed until 10 o'clock in the morning when their 4-year-old child is in a diaper? Like, how long has that child had its diaper on for? Come on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And I mean, you would see diaper remains if he's been peeing in it all night.
And how far is he going to get in a dirty diaper as well? I mean, it can't be comfortable for a 4-year-old to have been in a diaper.
No.
And then they call the police at 10 o'clock in the morning, but the dispatch audio clearly says they've been missing since 8 a.m. But they didn't even call the police until 10 a.m. Who the hell is still in bed at 10 a.m. with 2 children or 3 children in the house? Come on.
Well, and what has always perplexed me is, okay, so school was out for parent-teacher conference on Wednesday. Did Daniel or Malaya go to the parent-teacher conference? Because I've never heard. Then you have the children are sick, and so they didn't go to school on Thursday or Friday, but they're seen out and about on Thursday.
Yeah.
No one is taking a sick child out on anywhere. And you have enough adults around there. If you need to go get a jug of milk or some more diapers or whatever, you can go by your damn self.
I mean, you do see it around here sometimes when kids, parents will take their kids out of school, but it's more just basically because they're not really that sick. So they take them into town. I mean, here they would get picked up by truant officers anyway, who are around the town. But yeah, I can see maybe if she really wasn't that sick, maybe they took them into town to do something, I don't know, shopping, or we don't know where they were seen publicly. But then that's the last verified sighting, I assume, like outside of the family, like the people that live there, is the last verified sighting of the children, right? Or at least the last one they verified. And
They have verified that they were seen May 1st, which is the day before the disappearance.
And then 10 o'clock the next morning is when they're reported missing. So anything could have happened in the meantime. Didn't have to have happened at 8 a.m. on Friday, which is when they apparently last saw them, even though it was a cross between, she poked her head around the door, we saw her, we heard her, we don't know what Jack was wearing. Well, why do you not know what your sorry, it makes me really angry. Why do you not know what your 4-year-old was wearing, but you can quite confidently tell them that he had a diaper on? Balls of a burglar, I'm sorry. How could you even just say that out loud? Oh yeah, but he had a diaper on. Really? How long has he had a diaper on?
I would have been too embarrassed to mention that. I'm telling you, I would have been way too embarrassed. And it appears to me that Lily was under the impression she was going to school.
Well, see, that's another red flag to me. Go on, you say that, and then I'll just tell you what my red flag is after.
You know, she's got her backpack. She has on her jacket. I mean, did they actually go outside and thought they missed the bus and thought they were going to catch it?
Maybe, but then the backpack thing, I've found a red flag anyway since the beginning, and it might just be from other cases. But who else said that they had a backpack that morning? A backpack and a laptop, which was then found in a disposal, and that was Stefan Stearns with Madeline Soto. Oh yeah, she had her backpack with her. She had her backpack and her laptop with her. I mean,
and they found it in
a backpack.
Then they found it in the dumpster. And if they're out in the woods, that backpack's going to get heavy, and she's going to get it. She's going to take it off of her.
Well, if she took the backpack with her, and if the backpack wasn't disposed of by certain person who might be close to the family, you know, she didn't necessarily have her backpack with her, as in she left the house of her own volition carrying her backpack. The backpack could have been part of the ploy to disappear them. Oh yeah, she's missing and she's obviously taken her backpack with her. Has she, or was that part of the whole thing?
Do you know how long it took me to call the police last year when my cat OJ, when I couldn't find him?
About 5 minutes, because I remember. Yeah, I remember.
And that's a cat. That's a cat.
Oh, I'd be the same. Be climbing the walls.
If I got up and my children are not in the house, they're not an earshot away for me to yell, "Get your ass back in the house," and I don't see them coming, I'm calling the police right then. Yeah. What's going on with these cases where they're like, "Oh, we were just looking on our own"? I'm like, okay, Casey Anthony, you've got to be kidding me.
Okay, Candace Wells.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens too often, and that's why it's instant red flag. It's like the one day, like, you know, we always say like an unusual day is a red flag. So like unusual things that happen on a normal day kind of thing. So like, or you know, the whole thing, like, oh yeah, no, that, and they were playing outside and we were laying in bed and it was like 10 o'clock and we just like, oh, we can't hear them, but we keep such a good eye on our kids. We always tell them, don't go outside without me. But we heard them playing outside and you weren't concerned enough to get up and go check on them. Like, it's red flag city, this case, I swear to God.
Oh, there's so many. Let's bring up Hobie real quick. He's backstage. Hey. What up, Hobie?
What's going on, guys?
Hi, Hobie.
So you actually called the cops because your cat was missing?
Yes, he did. I was on the phone with her when the cops responded as well. They were very nice to her. They didn't even tell her off.
I don't mean to laugh. Sorry.
Yeah, don't underestimate it.
Yeah, I mean, I got up like around 3 a.m. I'm an early riser. It's not so much about being a mama; it's about being an adult. It's like we got shit to do, you know. But I mean, especially when you have children.
Yeah.
You know, you want to, the rooster's got to get up first. So I was on the phone with Gaelic and I was like, I cannot find OJ. And I said, and the back door blew open. We had only lived here a few weeks. And so I called the police department. And the guy said, as soon as I get some, some relief in here. I'm the only one here. I'm going to come over and help you find your cat. Well, next thing you know, Dickhead was scratching at the back door. I'm like, he's here. Thank you. You guys are the best.
But you did go out and look for him yourself as well.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I see that a lot. I see people put up signs around. I'm in the city too, so people will grab cats, and we have crackheads now that'll grab stray pets. Well, not just stray, but outdoor cats. My cat goes outdoors, man. He was an outdoor cat when I got him, and I can't stop him from being an outdoor cat. I'm in the city. I try to get too attached, but I'm attached. He's right there on the couch.
Well, I mean, speaking of, when people keep talking about this fence, around their yard, any child can get out of that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, if they want to, yeah, for sure.
Well, there's massive, great big holes in it. I mean,
there's holes in it and everything like that. But I don't understand, this timeline of calling the police. Did she just go back to bed when Daniel took off to go try to find him? And when he came back and said, I can't find him, then they called? What sense does that make? Seconds count.
Right. Yeah. Were they trying to run away? There's all kinds of things. Ifs, like were they trying to run away, the two of them? Because when there's two kids together, like I said before, last time you had me on, they'll usually talk each other into something, or they'll talk each other out of something when there's two of them.
I lived that, let me tell you. Okay, let's get to this. This lady, what she picked out her red flags, and everybody put into chat what red flag, what sticks out to you.
Comments, which red flag stood out the most to you? The first red flag that I found was the door obsession, explaining the how, not the why. Let's start with what might seem like a small detail, the sliding door, but both.
Okay, this is a huge detail. Let me explain why. Sliding glass doors are heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Sliding glass doors are heavy. This, where they live, is junk. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to tell me that they have a perfectly oiled up, balanced, rollers are perfect where you can slide it open. They probably have a hard time as adults opening the damn thing themselves.
Right.
Then we go back to how Daniel said, we're always telling him to shut the door. So you're telling me, like Kat said, on Friday, when they disappeared, they managed to get it shut behind them.
Mm-hmm. And why was it not locked anyway? I mean, quite apart from, all the other obvious red flags, why would you not lock your door? I mean, I get they live in the middle of nowhere, but they do have people that live around that area. And especially if their reported lifestyle that they live is anything like it's been reported, you'd lock the door, wouldn't you? Stop your kids getting out in the middle of the night.
I can tell you.
Someone else getting in.
Well, I mean, the safety hazards are a totally separate show that we see here. Just in the picture, okay?
Yeah, real.
I mean, these people make Don and Candace Wells look like Martha Damn Stewart. But you go and open a sliding glass door, someone's going to hear it. They squeak, they roll. It's one thing you can hear them. So
why would they have to have even mentioned that the door was silent? Oh, we can't hear that door opening. They went out the sliding door, but we can't hear that door opening. Oh, come on. Why did you need to put that into a media interview, in your first media interview?
To make them look better. To make them look better because they felt guilty. That's what they were doing.
But it just made them look guilty.
It does. We've seen it in so many cases where they're like, well, I don't want to say the truth. Hey, if you were just being a lazy bitch and wanted to lay in bed and your kids are outside, really no one, maybe a few people, are going to fret you for that. Guess what? Moms go to the bathroom. Moms take naps. Moms take showers. Moms curl their hair. Moms say, get out of the bathroom while I put on my makeup. Moms say, sit in front of the TV and watch this while I cook dinner. That shit happens.
And that shit is completely forgivable.
Oh, it's absolutely. Or, the kids were at a friend's house playing and that type of stuff. We all get that. You can't have your eyes on your child 24/7, regardless of what all the perfect parents tell you. This rat trap they're in right here, no. Unless they have a foundation and it's perfectly piered, that sliding glass door makes a hella noise, my friends.
Oh, I agree.
Daniel and Malaya are oddly fixated on it. Daniel told CBC the children must have opened the sliding back door, which is almost silent, and left, he said. That's also very similar to what Malaya said.
They happen to just get out that sliding door and we can't hear it when it opens.
Daniel also told CTV News. So I looked at the backyard. That's the only place they would go, and their boots were gone. The sliding door was closed. Usually they don't close the door. I usually have to remind them to close the door over and over. There's a pattern here. They're both working very hard to explain how the children got outside.
Okay, now here's a red flag for me, and I'm speaking as a mama. How many times do you have to tell your children to shut the door?
But when you hear them say talk about the door, and they'll talk to anybody. We talked about this before when you had me on last time. They're making excuses ahead of time, and I swear they had their stories together, right? And why would you? And we don't hear that. That's a very quiet door. Which no sliding doors are quiet, man. Mine's solid. Mine's basically on a back porch, which would be the equivalent to theirs, because they have a trailer, so there's nothing. My back porch is floating, like a trailer would be. And when you open it, it makes that snap sound because it's a seal. It makes that snap as soon as you open it. Unless you open it really, really slow, it doesn't make that snap as much. But it snaps when you open it from the seal, and then it does, and you can feel and hear the roll of it. You can feel it in your feet when you slide that open, man. So there's no quiet. I've never ever fucking encountered. Sorry for my language. I've never encountered a quiet sliding door. That's ridiculous.
Mike said, "Unbelievable! You mothers don't believe those two could open the door." Oh, I believe they can open the door. I believe they can take it off the hinges. I believe they can knock it off the tracks. I believe the adults in the house would hear it.
I also believe that if they're the kind of children that you're constantly, as Daniel said, telling them to close that door, then why did they close it behind them on that one day when they disappeared? Was the only day in their whole life they've ever closed that door behind them. Not only did they open it and get out of it, but they then thought to close it behind them.
Maybe they're sneaky, and they close it behind them because they
Come
want to go
on.
outside and play, right?
Yeah, but they never shut the door, according to Daniel. They're constantly telling them to shut that door. But on the one day that they decided to disappear was the one day in their whole life that they decided to close that door behind them. Come on. I don't believe that at all.
Well, my question is, why are they so certain that that's the door they went out of?
Yeah.
Are you telling me there's no other entrance or exit into that grand mansion?
Well, there quite clearly is, because if you see a photo of the front of it, there's another door at least at the front of the grand mansion, as she called it.
I mean, and there's also such a thing as saying, don't ever touch that door, or locking the door. You put something up high to where they can't open it up. You know, you put your deadbolts up further so they can't reach them. You have a swing bar but they didn't think that way. I mean, that's water under the bridge. How are they so sure they walked out that door?
It's interesting, isn't it, that the parents of missing children most often will tell you what door the children left out of, even though there is absolutely no way on earth that any of them have exact knowledge of what door their child walked out of if they weren't involved in anything to do with the disappearance, right? Because they wouldn't have seen it or witnessed it, so how do they know? But they're very, very, very detailed about this door, whether it makes noise or not, whether it gets closed or not, how many times they tell them to close the door, that they don't go outside on their own. All of these things, they're very, very careful to tell us all about in those first interviews.
Yeah, very. They put out information, and you know, this always rubs my wrong nerve when they put out information no one asks them about.
Right. 100%. It's a huge red flag.
Nobody asked them about the goddamn door. CB Canada said, never heard of kids in diapers in British Columbia or Ontario. What province are you referring to? I thought that kids wore diapers pretty much everywhere.
I think they're called pull-ups. They called them pull-ups.
Yeah, pull-ups.
It's me calling them diapers. We actually call them nappies over here. So
Well, I mean,
just lost in translation.
Yeah.
But there's almost no explanation as to why they got out in the first place. It's clear that the kids weren't being watched that morning. But why were 2 young children being left alone? There's no accountability. The subtext is, this isn't our fault. It was too quiet. It's too easy. It could have happened to anybody. There's no responsibility. Someone else took our kids, and it's their fault, not ours. This framing shifts the blame outwards instead of asking, who is watching the kids? And how did this happen on your watch? Speaking of which, if this were an abduction, wouldn't the door have been left open? Especially when Daniel mentions the door was closed. Usually they don't close the door. I usually have to remind them to close the door over and over. Why the sudden change of behavior on the very day that they disappeared? This isn't just about a door. It's about building a story where everything feels out of their control and nothing is their fault.
I totally agree. I just said all of that before.
I agree. And I'm sensing like almost some victim blaming. Like, we told them to shut the door. We told them to be quiet. It's almost kind of like, and I mean, I understand what some people are saying. Oh, some people don't maintain their property. Listen, I've had a lot of sliding glass doors. You're going to hear them. Okay. Yeah. They have rollers and everything like that.
I mean, there are like real top of the range, real highly expensive sliding doors that you can get that are just silent because they were designed that way for people with lots of money. But those doors on that property aren't those doors.
Yeah, those people have remote controls to open them and shut them with the shades. This is not the case. But my question is, why are you so sure, since you don't know shit, that they got out the sliding glass door you can't hear?
Red flag number 2, language of finality. Just 24 hours after Lily and Jack went missing, Malaya told CTV,
"We're all filled with pain and sorrow because we just want them found."
Not fear, not confusion, not hope, sorrow. That word suggests mourning, not searching. And that's deeply unusual in the early hours of a missing child case. Most parents hold on to hope, even desperately so. We usually hear words like, we're doing everything we can, we're praying, we just want them home. But here, we're hearing grief language. Language that suggests emotional.
Okay, we're bouncing around, and I love it. I love it. I love it. Susan Reed said they had to get the door shut in their story, and that created the barrier so that they couldn't hear them disappear. They had to put the door closed in their story. So but that way, if they're go ahead, because Malaya said at one point she could hear them playing and then couldn't.
Exactly. They needn't almost, if they were trying to create the perfect story, they needn't almost have said that door was closed, because the fact that he then goes on to say, but we're always telling them to close that door. They never closed the door behind them. So you're telling us that they went out of that door. They disappeared that day. You could hear them playing outside. You knew they were kind of outside. But when you got up to check on them, they closed the door. I mean, if you're going to say the door's closed, don't go on to say all the other words. Like there's a one woman on YouTube that would say they failed shut up class. Like they really failed.
They did fail shut up class. And if you can't find them in the house and the doors are closed, odds are they're outside. That's probably, especially since they know their terrain. They know what's going on around there.
Or maybe they went out of a different door or went out of the window.
Well, I mean, if everything's shut up and the kids aren't in the house and you look out the window and you don't see them where they normally would play, wouldn't you immediately call the police?
Yeah. 100%.
They know their area. I mean, I can put in human trafficking, Nova Scotia, and it lights up like a damn Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And
when you have an environment like that,
CBC.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Hobie.
Sorry, no. When you have an environment like that, you see how the kids lived, right? They're feral kids. They're living feral. The parents don't give a shit. I know this because I had neighbors like this. The kids would be outside in their diaper, stomping in puddles on the main street, right? And the parents know where to be found. And I would sit there and I'd watch the kid and watch him and watch him and watch him and wait to see how long it took for the mom to come out. It's ripe for abduction. I'm just saying. Like if they're inviting crazy other idiots partying there, it only takes one of those assholes to say, hey man, these kids are right for the plucking. You can fucking kidnap them. You know what I mean?
I wish
Nobody wants to think about this stuff. Nobody ever
No,
wants to think about human
it is
trafficking.
possibility. It is a possibility, especially
It's too
given.
scary of a thought for people to think about. That's why no one ever looks at human trafficking.
Because it's too real. It's too much for people to wrap their minds around.
What
I can't get over is the way that Ma Clampett kicked Malaya and the baby out, and the bum brother is still laying there on the property as if it's some sort of timeshare in Florida, all laying around, mauling up on each other. Why is no one looking at those two?
Right.
Because these are not their blood relatives. Lily and Jack are not their blood relatives.
Yeah. And it really angered me right at the beginning when it was like 4 adults on one property and 2 children are missing, and only one of them realistically is coming out saying, like, you know, I'm searching every day, I'm doing this, I've taken a lie detector, all of that stuff. And the other 3 adults from that property are seemingly silent and not you know, I'm sure maybe they are cooperating with authorities, which is the way it should be. But there's questions, like so many questions, like how the heck do 2 kids go missing off a property where there's 4 adults in attendance?
And I'm going to get off the door for a minute. I know a lot of people are saying depends on how you keep the door maintained and everything. Nothing on this property is maintained. So you're telling me the one thing on this house and this property they took care of was that sliding glass door. Everything else looked like hammered shit, but they took care of that one door. They could hear them outside playing and they knew they were out there, but they can't hear the door.
Yeah, they specifically just spent all of their time, effort, money, and energy on making sure that door was silent, right?
Yeah. Don't wake us up with that noisy ass sliding glass door.
On May 5th.
We covered everywhere possible. Even in the first day we did.
That's past tense, as if the effort is already over. Just 3 days in, and the energy is an urgency. It's resignation. This is a red flag in deception detection. People who know more than they're saying, consciously or not, often show signs of premature closure. They talk about the situation as if it's already finished, already lost, already beyond their control. Instead of, we're going to keep searching until they're found. It's, we tried. That's not what you expect from parents in a race against time. That's what you expect when someone's already accepted the worst and just hasn't said it out loud yet. Red flag number 3, the performance doesn't really match the story. Let's look at the performance versus the reality. Daniel describes his actions after the kids disappeared in vivid, almost cinematic terms. He tells CBC he jumped in his vehicle and surveyed every dirt road.
Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could. As soon as I seen they were missing, I jumped right in the vehicle and I did every dirt road and searched every culvert.
He told Global News he went through waist-deep water and that he was screaming until his throat hurt.
Screaming as loud as I can, just until my throat hurt, running through water that was up to my waist.
It sounds like chaos, panic, an all-out physical search. But when we see him in every interview, he's calm, controlled, clean. His clothes are pristine, his hair isn't wet. There's no visible sign he's been through the woods, the mud, or the water, let alone any mention of needing to clean up or change. Sure, it's possible he freshened up before facing the media. But what stands out is not just his physical appearance, it's the disconnect between the story he's telling and the way he's telling it. This is someone who claims to have been emotionally and physically wrecked from searching for 2 missing children. Yet he's composed, articulate, and strangely rehearsed. This mismatch is critical because when someone recounts...
Okay, I'm going to get my ass handed to me for this. He hasn't known the children that long, okay? Him and Malaya have been together for about 3 years. I have a feeling that their relationship is very contentious, considering she lives on his mom's property, considering his mom seems to hate her ass, that there is a father out there somewhere that may or may not have been in jail and may or may not have a court hearing coming up in October that, according to good old fake book, doesn't do anything to provide for Lily and Jack.
Right.
He is going to have a different demeanor than, say, a mother. Now, if you look at the mama, not a tear. I just wish for the best. I just hope they're found.
And isn't it so strange because he's the stepdad? I'm not saying that stepdads can't care and stepdads can't go out and search for their stepkids, but generally you don't see the step-parent being as involved as he is in the search. And especially if the step parent may have had something to do with it, they don't usually the one that are fronting the media and, you know, talking about this. I don't know. I don't think he's a great person particularly, but I don't get a real bad vibe from him. Do you?
No, I get a really dumb vibe. He just seems like a simple dude.
Mm-hmm. But he don't seem, I don't know, he doesn't seem as like disconnected as, for example, like Christopher Parmentier or other people that we've seen that are step parents. Sebastian's stepfather, for example, like he seems really connected in that response to the way that he's the one out there. I mean, the blood relatives don't seem to have had any media coverage, or, you know, apart from the 20-second interview that the mother gave originally, they're not the ones that seem to be doing the fighting. It seems like it's him that's fighting the hardest.
He's the one, I mean, that they came out with. You know, this is their news, not mine, saying if he passed his polygraph tests.
Right.
I don't give a shit about polygraph tests, but I mean, at least he got hooked up to the shit and they tracked deception.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he's being made a bit of a scapegoat, honestly. It's just my opinion.
It's real trauma, especially recent trauma. The body tends to show it. Shaky hands, red eyes, voice cracks, struggling to find the words. But with Daniel, the delivery is smooth. The story is consistent, almost too consistent. When the emotion doesn't match the content, we start to question the authenticity, because real panic looks chaotic. Real desperation interrupts, it rambles, it slips. This isn't that. The words say panic, but the body and the performance say something else entirely. Red flag number 4, blaming the victims. Now let's talk about something especially unsettling. The way that Daniel and Malaya describe Lily and Jack. When asked why he thinks the pair might have been abducted, Martel said, "I have no idea why anyone would want to take them, but they're easy to take. If they would have wandered to the road, they would get in any car as long as you offered them food or water or even candy or anything like that, or even to see mom and dad. They would immediately get in."
Okay, this part of his interview scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, really.
Because if your children are so comfortable with strangers,
that's not a good thing.
You aren't going to like that at all. Hobie, what do you think?
They also said, they both said, they'll talk to anybody. Very friendly, very chatty. They'll go up and talk to anybody. Why would you say that? Why is that? How about just find them? Why are you saying, they'll talk to anybody? They're they're setting it up.
Yeah, I agree. They're pushing the narrative that they've been abducted. Like, it's so easy to kidnap them. Anyone could have kidnapped them. Like, literally, all you've got to do is offer them a bar of chocolate and you can kidnap them. Like, come on. Whew.
I mean, that's a scary thing to admit. That would scare the hell out of me. If I saw kids just walking up to a stranger and talking to them like they knew them, I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But we go back to this free range parenting. We live out in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to take them. There's things that can get them hurt, but nothing that, a quick trip to the urgent care can't stitch up. That's fucked up, man.
But we need, so I'm Generation X. Us Gen Xers, Ben, we kind of raised ourselves too. Like we were left on our own, we made our own breakfast and our lunch at young ages. And we went out and played. We were outside playing all day, man. We could have got eaten by a bear. As long as we were home when it was dark. When the lights came on, we were home.
Yeah, that's right. Same. I'm Gen X too, and exactly the same. We were feral kids.
Right. But we were also told, at least I was, I can't speak for anyone else.
We were told not to talk to strangers and don't, stranger danger. We knew that.
Right.
Right.
Your kids should be scared of strangers in that respect. They should.
Right. And for both of them, but for both of them to say, they'll talk to anybody, they'll get into a car. That's scary, man. That freaks me out.
But also, you're right. Isn't that a good way to set up the idea that they were abducted?
Yeah, they're setting it up.
It's just like, of course they just would have gone with anyone. So, like, they're almost pushing the narrative that it would be so easy to abduct them. How could you say that it's not
the narrative? Exactly. Good way to put, because I'm not the best with words.
You're fine. You're fine.
I've never understood. Now, mind you, I've never been in these shoes. But I've covered a lot of these shoes. How a parent can immediately rush to judgment and say, my child's been abducted. Especially when you have a yard, you have woods. In other cases, there's kids around that kids play with. There's all kinds of stuff they do. But when you immediately rush to abduction, I don't understand that. We have another case where they immediately said abducted. Well, the FBI card unit, after doing a month-long investigation, said no.
It was really interesting to me that both of those cases, this one and that one, both say people saying they had dogs in the yard and the dogs would have barked. Well, in the other case, apparently the dogs were all on holiday that day. They were all on vacation. So they didn't really notice that the child had been abducted because they were all gone that day. But it's true. If the property has dogs on, there ain't no way that a stranger is going to come on that property and touch those kids without all of the dogs, at least one dog or however many dogs barking and making a fuss about it.
Yeah. Normally.
Hold
Both
on.
cases.
Hold on. Criminal Theory in Action said she's going to another channel that is more open-minded. Honey, you can grab the link if you want. No one is saying that the parents did anything. I think we can all pick out that there's some neglect going on. As far as the door, I don't give dick about the door. If they could hear the kids outside and the kids are sick, that should have been enough to quit bringing the door up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's just we're discussion channel anyway. So, you know, there's the freedom of speech thing that kind of allows us all in civilized society to say our own opinions and discuss our theories and everything else. Sorry if people don't like that, but it's going to happen. Always has, always will. I
try to look at the bigger picture. I try not to be distracted by small things. Like the door, to me, I think is a distraction. It's their interviews and how they speak and how because let's face it, both of them are low IQ. We can agree on that, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They're kids raising kids. In my opinion, and I think I'm right. So they're
you can't say in your opinion.
It's the word that comes out of their mouth was what worries me the most. It's the things that they've said that makes me think this is going to end badly. It's just going to be a matter of time, right? Over here, but
Watch Kleck Flies said, unless the dogs knew the abductor. We've talked about this in another case. I don't want to cross cases. I'm not going to bring the case up. But dogs aren't going to freak out if they know the person that just pulled up. And as we know from a couple of people that live around the area, they had frequent visitors. Were the visitors there to see Daniel and Malaya? Or is the uncle the one that's so popular? Were people over all the time to see grandma? I don't know.
If there's always a lot of cars around there, it kind of suggests that there's people coming and going all the time.
He also added,
They'll talk to anyone. They want to go with anyone. They're just looking to have as much fun as they can.
Meanwhile, Malaya told CTV,
They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off.
think about this. These aren't warm, protective memories. These are descriptions of Lily and Jack as easy targets. They're not saying, please bring our babies home. They're just little kids. We love them. They're saying anyone could have taken them, and here's why. It doesn't come across as heartbreak. It sounds like a preemptive explanation. And one line stands out as especially odd. Even to see mom and dad, they would immediately get in. But mom and dad were inside the house, weren't they? Why would they suggest the kids climb into a stranger's car to see their parents if their parents were already home? That's not just an unusual example, it's a nonsensical one. And in a case where every single word matters, that slip raises serious questions. Even more troubling, it quietly shifts the blame. The implication is they were just too friendly. It could have happened to anyone. But this isn't about random vulnerability. This is about two very young children. When the focus is on how easy they were to take, not the fight to bring them home, you start to wonder what the real motive behind these words might be. Red flag number 5, the missing timeline. Where was Daniel? Let's talk about the timeline and the decision Daniel Martel made in the most critical window of this case. If that recording is true, Lily and Jack were last seen around 8 a.m. Malaya called 911 at approximately 10 in the morning, but by the time the police arrived, Daniel was already gone. Martel says he then jumped in his vehicle and started looking for them. Martel said he immediately jumped in the car and searched neighboring roads, looking in culverts. By the time he returned home, the RCMP were there, having been already called by the children's mother.
Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there. As soon as I seen they were missing, I jumped right in the vehicle, and I did every dirt road and searched every culvert. The very first day I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name until my throat hurt.
That means instead of staying at the house to help police or even wait for them to arrive, he left alone. with no coordination, no confirmed destination, no accountability. In the early hours of a missing child case, every second matters, but Daniel chose to remove himself from the scene. He took himself out of view during the most crucial time frame, when police needed eyes, statements, and timelines locked in. If Daniel truly had 2 full hours before the 911 call was made, that's a huge window of time, and he could have been doing anything. When children go missing, most parents stay rooted, frantic, desperate to be part of the response. But Daniel, he was already gone. That decision casts a long shadow over the timeline. Red flag number 6. No instinct, no urgency. What's missing speaks volumes. Beyond how Daniel and Malaya act in front of the camera, it's what they don't do that raises the biggest questions.
That could just be the way they talk. I don't know. I will say this. It seems to me that Daniel did have urgency, because when they couldn't hear the children anymore, he did, according to news reports, he did run out to find them.
Yeah, I guess it's the discrepancy, isn't it, in the timeline between the last time they were seen was 8 a.m., but no one called the police until 10. I think that's the problem. It's not so much that he left the property, which kind of could be seen as suspicious or not, depending on your point of view, I suppose. But that 2-hour discrepancy, whenever there's timeline discrepancies, I think it's a huge issue in a case like this.
Now, Dad having I'm talking bio dad, Cody, having a criminal record or not, which what was said didn't seem like anything major to me. I think a lot of people are scratching their heads wanting to know, where is he and where's he been? I think that's a fair question to ask.
Yeah, I think it's fair too. As far as I could tell from what other people in the family have said, like the aunt and all of that, he hadn't had any contact with them for at least a year, and I've got a feeling that he didn't really want anything to do with them. So yeah, I don't think he would have been responsible for going to collect them, because as far as I could see, he didn't want anything to do with them.
So we have the dogs have not detected a scent
from the end of the driveway.
They have not found any of the children's belongings in the woods. Stepdad, which I don't think they're married, but I'll just call him stepdad, Daniel. He has taken a polygraph test. And I'm going to be honest here about bio dad. I don't care if he lives on another continent. In the last 3 years, he can save up some change to see his kids.
Yeah, I agree. But I think it also kind of, in that respect, rules him out a little bit, because being involved, because he doesn't want to, he's never wanted to be involved with the kids. So it's not like I'm thinking, oh, the bio dad could have rocked.
Well, our court, in defense of him, I don't know him, but I just do. I know the court system in Canada is not in favor of the dad ever. Even it doesn't matter how bad the woman could be beating the crap out of the guy. It doesn't matter. Usually the guy goes to jail. That's how it's weird here in Canada, man.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I mean, fathers have rights in America, but it really just comes down to if they want to take advantage of them or not.
Yeah, the family court system is. I don't even want to go down. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But it's not good here. Like, I can see how a lot of fathers just give up, like, because just to see their own kids, it's like you have to jump through so many hoops and this and that and that. So some guys just go, you know what? I'm not even making any. It's hard enough to put a roof over your head and feed yourself. Never mind feed kids that you can't see, and work overtime for kids that you can't see. You know what I mean? Like, that's our court system's pretty screwed up here. So it's playing devil's advocate for the biological father. That's all.
T-Walk, I'm assuming lives in Canada. I did not know that, and I've known you a long time. T-Walk said that is not true. The courts, in my experience, give the dad a lot more leeway. Are you in Canada?
I don't know. That's bullshit. The stats in Canada and United States, it's 85% in favor of the mother. Look at the numbers. Stats, you can skew stats, but stats are stats, man.
Okay, Rosebud said, I'm a Canadian. Yes, see it all the time. Leslie agrees with me. Stepdad, in my opinion, does not look or sound overly intelligent. Nope, not at all. Nope.
None of them are really.
No. Now he's no rocket scientist. It doesn't make him a bad guy. It doesn't mean he's involved. But when if you're looking for him to put on his media best, you're not going to get it. Okay, he is not prime time ready. He's just, in my opinion, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. He might just be doing the best he can do.
Mm-hmm. Let's start with Lily's cough. We're told that she was kept from school that day because she wasn't feeling well. But that's it. It's never brought up again. There's no concern about whether she needs her medication, if she's cold, hungry, scared, or even just lying down somewhere weak and tired. In most missing child cases, especially with a sick child, parents obsess over their needs. She doesn't have her inhaler. He's afraid of the dark. She needs her blanket. Those instincts are automatic. They humanize the child and they guide the search. But here, there's nothing. No details. No urgency. It's like the children's needs vanished the moment they walked out the door, just like the kids themselves. Even more troubling, Malaya.
Okay, so I know on this show and a lot of comments, they really pick Daniel apart. He's got on a clean shirt, looks like he cleaned up. Well, if you're going to go in front of the camera, I guess you would. But not like Hello Kitty here. She's got on lip gloss. She's got freshly washed hair, pulled back in a ponytail. She's looking straight down at the ground. She won't make eye contact and really doesn't have anything to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's not giving anything. I mean, literally, like, I get no vibe from her at all. Like, it's partly because she's only done this one interview, and I'm not saying that, yeah, we have a right to hear from every single person involved. Of course not. But when I look at other, like, parents whose children have genuinely been kidnapped, they're not looking this well and fine at this point in the game, I don't know. She just doesn't give me anything. I don't get anything from her that makes me think, oh, she had nothing to do with it.
Elle has a great point. Is it possible that Daniel and Malaya weren't home when the children went missing? It's home alone. Parents got home and discovered them gone. Yeah, exactly. This whole I have to sleep in and the kids are sick. How do we know that they didn't scoot out the morning of and came back, and that's when they found that they couldn't find them? We don't know.
I mean, it's a good point. And obviously, if I'm not saying there was, because I don't know, because I don't live there, but if there was a party and it was on the Thursday night, for example, if there was a party, then the reason they were in bed till 10 in the morning could easily have been because they were hungover or something from the night before. There's so much wrong with their recounting of the timeline and what actually happened from Thursday into Friday. I honestly get such a sick feeling when I look at her, especially the mother, and that's just my personal opinion. I don't trust her. I don't think she's given anything that screams concerned mother at all. And she goes and blocks him, even though she had the same story as him at the beginning. And now all of a sudden he's public enemy number one. Why would that be then?
Yeah, and his mama kicked her to the curb when they started fighting on Friday. I couldn't imagine having an argument like that when you're supposed to be on the same page looking for two children. Jeremiah 1111. Jeremiah, you're more than welcome here. Jeremiah got timed out. Those accidents happen, Jeremiah. The chat moves fast. It's nothing personal. Jeremiah has done research as a CCIA agent when he was investigating child trafficking and human trafficking. Not sure why they don't want you to know. Well, we do want to know. And so if you would like to grab the link, you can. I know who put you in timeout. It was an accident. Chrissy's probably on her period. Okay? Down.
Leah left the area shortly after the disappearance. There's no public explanation, no clear reason. That kind of detachment, both emotional and physical, is almost unheard of in a parent whose children are actively missing. And that silence, that's not just absence, it's a red flag. Red flag number 7. Tone and body language too calm for crisis. Let's talk about what you can see and even more what you can hear. In every interview, Daniel and Malaya are calm, but not the type of calm that comes from strength, the type that feels unnatural in a crisis. Daniel talks about running through woods screaming their names until his throat hurts, yet his face barely moves, his voice doesn't waver. He holds eye contact with the camera. No tears, no breaks, no panic leaking through the mask. Malaya, same thing. She sits composed. Her language is formal, filtered, like someone giving a prepared statement, not a desperate plea. There's no visible emotional overwhelm, no tearful moments, no shaky hands, no desperate energy. Now let's be clear. Not everyone reacts the same way to trauma, but parents of missing children are almost always emotionally raw. You see tears, you see pleading, you see stumbling over words because the pain is unbearable. You feel their fear, even if they don't say a word. But here, we're seeing control, composure, a strange steadiness that doesn't match the magnitude of what's really happening. And in behavior analysis, that mismatch matters. Because when someone describes a highly emotional event, but their body or their face doesn't reflect any of that emotion, it raises the question. Are they telling you what happened? Or are they telling you what they want you to believe? True fear isn't polished. True panic doesn't stay in a neat little box. But in these interviews, that panic is nowhere to be found. What we're seeing isn't desperation, it's presentation. And sometimes presentation is the biggest red flag of all. Red flag number 8, past versus present tense. Are they already grieving? Listen closely to the way Daniel and Malaya refer to Lily and Jack. Malaya says,
everyone loves them.
Present tense. But she also says the family is filled with pain and sorrow.
We're all filled with pain and sorrow.
That word, sorrow, as I said before in my red flag 2, it is associated with loss, not hope. It's grieving language, not the kind of language you use when you think that there's still a chance. Then we look at Daniel.
Jack just absolutely loved bugs, dinosaurs, but she also loved doing everything with Jack.
These are all past tense references, describing Lily and Jack like they're already gone. So why talk about them like it's over? Most grieving parents cling to the
Okay. In every case, when a parent who presumes to have an abducted child, a missing child, when they use past tense, I instantly pucker my butthole.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand it. And so many people, and here, let me give you a clue what's going to happen with this case soon. Okay? People will get bored and they'll move away. They will. That's what happens. Or they'll get frustrated because no one's listening to what they think happened. We've seen it a million times. But right off the bat, when I pick up the past tense, there's always someone that says, oh, that's a normal thing to say. No, it's not. Nope. You can't.
Because if you're talking about somebody that's actually alive, for example, if I'm talking about my mum, I'm not talking about my mum in the past tense because my mum is still alive. So you don't talk about people in the past tense if you know that they're still alive.
Right.
No.
Right? So you don't, man.
Especially when it's your own child. You're never going to use words like was, they were. You're not going to.
But this girl's right too about, like, I would be a bumbling, babbling idiot. I wouldn't be able to talk to the press.
Right.
I wouldn't even want to talk to the press, man. Right? I'd be too busy out trying to find them or doing something. I'd be a babbling fool. I have a hard time talking enough as it is when I'm, not freaking out over something,
I agree. And we've actually seen that in cases where children have gone missing and they have genuinely been abducted. We've seen parents like that. We've seen mothers like that who literally can't string a sentence together because of their distraught and overwhelmed and are pounding the streets 24/7 on their knees begging people to help. And I know that not everybody's going to react the same way and be the same way, but it's just human reaction. I don't get people that can just stand there and talk about missing kids like they just had a cup of tea and a quick chat with someone. It's just not normal to me.
No. And I've never seen a parent in my eyes act normal because I don't know how I would act.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say that wholeheartedly. Watch Kleck Flies, by the way, loving your comments today. Chrissy keeps timing out her boyfriend Jeremiah that wants to talk about African slave trading, and for whatever reason, Chrissy's not up for it today. Damn it, Chrissy. Watch Kleck Flies says, was mom sweet on someone that didn't want all those kids? Well, am I allowed to repeat a rumor? I believe everything I read on Facebook. Will anyone give me permission to repeat a rumor?
You can repeat a rumor as long as you tell everyone it's a rumor. There's no problem.
I'm saying it right now. The rumor is she was sweet on Daniel's brother that lives on the property.
Well, you know, it happens, doesn't it, in certain households where the brothers live and there's a particular type of woman, I suppose, yeah.
I wouldn't fuck my brother-in-law with Hobie's dick.
Present tense. She is so brave. He loves trucks. They're probably scared. They refuse to switch because switching means accepting the possibility their child might never come back. In these interviews, that switch happens quickly, almost too naturally. It suggests resignation, or worse, it can suggest foreknowledge. When someone speaks about a missing loved one in the past tense before any outcome has even been confirmed, it can be a sign they're not just afraid of the worst, they may already know it. And in a case where every word matters, those tenses don't just slip, they reveal. Red flag number 9. Scripted phrasing. Over-rehearsed, not recalled. There's a big difference between consistency and scripting. And in Daniel's interviews, that line gets blurry fast. He repeats nearly identical phrases across every network. Waist deep water, checked every culvert, screaming until my throat hurt.
Immediately jumped in the vehicle, surveyed all the areas, many dirt roads, many culverts as I could, and waited for the police to get there. As soon as I seen they were missing, I jumped right in the vehicle, and I did every dirt road and searched every culvert. The very first day, I wasn't around very much because I was just searching. I was running through the woods, screaming their name till my throat hurt. Even with me running through the woods, I was ahead of the helicopters and ahead of the drones and stuff like that. Screaming as loud as I can, just till my throat hurt. Running through water that was up to my waist.
On the surface, that might seem like a man staying consistent under pressure. But when you look closer, it doesn't sound like recall. It sounds like rehearsal. Here's the thing about real memories. They flex. They evolve with each retelling. New details surface. Emotions slip in. Phrasing.
I misjudged a parent in a missing child's case one time. Like an idiot that I am. I can admit it, okay? I think it's actually human to admit when you're wrong. I did not know that the father had gone to the doctor and was given something for his anxiety. So he seemed cool, calm, and collected, but it was the medication talking.
Valium or something, maybe. Who knows?
Xanny.
Yeah.
So I doubt that happened here because I see a lot of comments in chat about how long it takes to get into a doctor. Whether I don't know. I don't know where, people are from. Introduce yourselves. You'll get to know us. You'll like us. Jeremiah is waiting 86,000 seconds to get back in, and Chrissy's not having it today. Looks like we got to have a sit down with Chrissy. Damn.
Changes slightly because you're accessing the memory, not reading from a script. But rehearsed stories, they're airtight. Same beats, same words, same order. And that's exactly what we see in Daniel's media appearances. This kind of rigid repetition, especially when describing high-stress events, can actually be a red flag in deception analysis. It often means that the speaker memorized a version of the truth they're comfortable with, and now they're sticking to it word for word to avoid slipping up. But the human mind doesn't work that way when recalling trauma. If he really had been running, screaming, wading through deep water, the emotional chaos of that experience would have seeped into each retelling. It would sound different each time, not like he was hitting the same script points over and over and over again. Red flag number 10, no direct appeal, missing the message that matters. In most high-profile missing child cases, there's one thing we almost always see, a direct emotional plea. Parents speaking to their children through the camera or begging whoever might have them to bring them home. But in this case, that emotional connection is strangely absent. Daniel does say the children's names, and he does issue a general request.
I urge the public to come out if you have anything, come out as fast as possible and get it to any detachment or any police service that you have available to get to talk to.
What's missing is a personal, heartfelt plea. There's no, Lily, Jack, we love you. We're here. Please hold on. No emotional reach for them. No words meant for them. Just controlled, public-facing statements. More of a press conference than a desperate plea from someone who has helped raise them. And from Malaya, nothing. She never once says the children's names in her interview. She doesn't speak to them, doesn't address the public with urgency. There's no emotional slip, no desperate moment. Instead, both parents present their messages with calm delivery, generic.
And I'm going to give my thoughts on this. Of course, everybody has opinions, and it's okay to talk about them. As a mom, okay, me trying to relate to this mom. wherever in the world she's from. When I see a mama not using her children's names, we're talking in past tense, we're not making eye contact, we're staring down at the ground. That's not how we act. We're grabbing every police officer saying, "Help me now."
Right. Right. I mean, I think the most I heard her say in this whole interview was, you know, it's really hard that last night was the hardest night because I didn't have them in their beds and like it was really cold and like I hope they're somewhere warm. Like that was it. Like I was like, oh really? You hope they're somewhere warm? What the heck is wrong with you, lady? Like get a bit of like something in your belly, like a bit of passion or a bit of something. But she's just like so many other cases where, well, we don't definitely know that the parent was involved in this case or those cases, but I've just seen it so many times where it's like, oh, yeah, I just feel like I've just had a cup of tea and I lost my remote control somewhere. Oh yeah, I also lost my kids, but yeah, I've got shit to do. So can we just call it a day? Yeah, good. I hope they're warm.
I mean, she's young and she's not obviously not the mother of the year. But mama bear, no, but there's a mama bear instinct that kicks in, man, and I've seen it. It's the mama bear instinct kicks in, and it's scary. Get out of the way, man.
3 children. She was on her 3rd child, I presume, with the baby. So it's not like she hasn't had some practice. Lily's 6 and Jack's 4, and the baby's 18 months or something. Like she's been a mother for at least 6 years, and yet nothing. There's just this like there's nothing there. Hello, like, do you want to actually like go out and fight for your kids, or are you just going to stand there and be like, yeah, it was really hard last night because it was cold, so I hope they're somewhere warm? Like, come on. She needs a foot up the backside. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And like Jen Buck said, somewhere warm, someone warm sounds like something like Lazy said, and she did.
Right.
I hope it's being fed. I mean, when the whole time, I mean, we all knew that Leilani Simon murdered Quentin. Proven, not alleged, proven. She's in jail. Same with Megan Boswell. Oh, I hope that she's somewhere warm and she's got her food and she's got toys. And I don't believe that Daniel, and I'm going to say this, being the stepdad, okay? I have a feeling he was put on a short leash when it came to the kids. That was probably a contentious thing between them. Those are my kids. Those are my kids. Those are my kids. So it's kind of like 3 steps forward, 4 steps back when he's trying to take care of her and Cody's children. Now, some step parents are not going to like me saying that, but if you're a step parent, you know how those dynamics work.
Right.
I also think that he's going to be very protective of his mother and his brother. He wants this solved with a quickness because some people are starting to point fingers at his and his brother. What do you think of that? I'll start with Hobie.
Sorry, the wife's calling me here. Sorry.
That's okay. Then I'll go to Kat.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I do personally feel like of 4 adults on the property, not one of them can say what they saw or heard that morning with any alacrity or clarity, if you like. I think that he may well be trying to stop people from pointing fingers at his mum and his brother, but ultimately her family came on the property and were pointing fingers at him. So for her to have then left the property and blocked him kind of shows to me that she's got more to hide than he does, because he would have known if his story was the same as hers, which it apparently was, that he had nothing to do with it, and neither did his mum and his brother. So I just kind of feel like he's become a scapegoat in this. I don't get a bad vibe off of him, honestly. I just get a kind of grey vibe off of him. But I think she's definitely got more to hide than him, and she's definitely trying to hide more than him as well. That is a big red flag to me. I think the grandmother and the brother could have could have come out and said, look, we were asleep or we weren't here or whatever, but they haven't for whatever reason. I just think that if it genuinely went down the way it went down, no one needs to be pointing the finger at anybody else on that property, because it wouldn't have gone down like that if they genuinely were abducted and no one saw anything.
Because
There's a
the
lot of
police would have known right away.
exactly.
For one, there would have been some sort of scuffle. Even if the kids are that friendly that they're going to get in someone's car, there's such a thing. I don't know how they do it in other areas, but they will actually, especially after a fresh rain, they will they'll plaster tire marks. They look at all kinds of different. They can study all stuff.
While we've been doing this show, I just had a thought in my head. I haven't really processed it properly, but I was thinking, just as a hypothetical, like this isn't a theory really, it's just a thought that was going through my head. Like, what if there was a party on, for example, on the Thursday night, and one of the people there was nefarious, like Kobe was saying earlier, and they decided to come back the next morning? Maybe they had if the parents were drunk or whatever and they were in bed, then maybe they kind of got a feeling that maybe the kids would be around, and then they offered them a lift to school, because they weren't obviously concerned, because they knew the person, because they'd met them either the night before at the party or earlier on if they were family friends or whatever, and maybe they did quite happily get in the car with him thinking they were going to school. There's just so many possibilities. It's so remote that nobody, I don't think, that wouldn't have known those kids would have gone up there and abducted them. But ultimately, it could have been either planned, or it could have been some chancer who decided that, they're worth something valuable, if you like.
Well, I mean, they're obviously not, and I'm just pointing out the obvious, treating this as if two children wandered off the property, because they are looking for cameras that date back at least 5 days. Dash cam, people coming through the area, not necessarily people that live there, but people coming through the area, driving through there, business, pleasure, whatever. For the last 5 days, they have 355 tips right now. There wouldn't be 355 tips if they wandered off. And they have interviewed 50 people. Okay, they're not interviewing bears. They're not interviewing bobcats. They're not talking to the trees.
Yeah, I mean, 355 tips, for example, if they were like witness tips, is quite a lot for such a remote kind of area, like first-hand tips, if they all are. Some of them could be like crazy people who are like the other side of the coast, like, oh yeah, I saw 2 children, and they probably are them children, that kind of tip. But other people could be people that lived around there. I don't know.
It's a lot to process, but again, this channel right here is called Sadie, the Prime Minister, and she's got about 2,000 subscribers. Let's get her up. Because I thought she did a really good job on that interview.
I agree.
I agree. She kind of said all the things that I've been thinking. But yeah, she said them out loud, so that was quite good, because at least I kind of am vaguely on the same page as other people in this whole thing.
I'm guessing she has some education when it comes to personality, like the way she breaks down. Like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to see her, like Malaya and Daniel talk. And when I first heard the stepfather talk and speaking in past tense, that was a big red flag for me. But this girl here, she's smarter than I am.
No, we spoke about it on Friday. You're smart too. And the good news is, with such little interviews with the mom and the stepdad, we're not going to have, and I'm not talking about this girl that we just watched, because I think she's super cool. But we won't have any dickheads like Deception Detective that go out and try to break things down. That dude gets on my last nerve. And
Yeah, almost like you just need somebody who's a little bit less dominant in their way that they present something. Like she's kind of presented it in still a way that leaves you able to question it for yourself, not definitively telling you this is wrong and this is right. Like I like people like that.
I've learned more from just that little bit listening to this girl that you just played than Deception Detective. She knows her stuff, man. She's a pretty smart cookie.
Yeah.
And you're forgetting your hostess with the mostest, Hobie. I think you've learned a lot.
Oh yeah, of course you too. But I mean, I wouldn't have saw that clip that girl at YouTube channel if it wasn't for you. So I'm learning every time I come on here.
YouTube.
I learn a lot.
Queen.
We have a couple of questions for the chat. From the chat, these are really, or from our friends, these are important questions.
Okay.
Thin Mint wants to know, what is WWPD? It means, what would Pat do?
Yeah. Pat K was the first mod on the channel, and Pat K is like the mod boss. She does a really good job, and she's Canadian too. So we all ask, before we do anything or make any decision, we all ask ourselves, what would Pat do? And if Pat wouldn't do it, then we don't do it.
I know, exactly. That's it.
We love Pat.
A lot of people are wanting to see a picture of Pat. Hold on, let me put it up real quick.
Pat, you're going to get exposed. Face reveal.
All I can think of is SNL. Or was it In Living Color? I can't remember. It's not a girl, it's not a guy, it's Pat. You don't remember that? Is Pat a girl or a guy? There's actually a character in a comedy sketch movie.
Pat is more than that. Here is a picture of Pat in her living room. She knows everything. Anything we ask her, she'll either tell us, I don't give a shit, or what she would do. That's our Pat. She is our Matrix. She is our Yoda. So stick around and you'll get to know Pat. You'll get to know Kat. You'll get to know Hobie, Diana, Fun to Ski. Woo! You'll get to know everybody. So I know Pat is cute. Look at her. She didn't even have to shave that day. So what we're going to do is tomorrow, we're going to have a show about Harmony Montgomery. And I am going to be tearing it up, Susan, and whoever else wants to grab the link, because I am furious that Crystal Story received over $2 million for failing her own child.
Kind of makes you sick that it pays to fail your child, right? Yeah.
But first, I want to say thank you to all of you. Now, I wasn't able to promote this show on Facebook because I'm not allowed to send links until Saturday evening for whatever reason. Whatever. So if you guys can, if you're in any of the Jack and Lily groups, please share this. Tell everyone we're nice over here, even if a couple of people don't understand. And I hope you have a great rest of your Thursday. My week has been so long, I don't even know what day it is. I had a crazy week, but I missed you guys very much. Kat.
Yes.
I thought your shirt said Chiefs bra.
It says I'm in my Kansas City Chiefs era.
And I stopped looking. I had like my face like 2 centimeters away from the screen. I'm like, oh, that's a shirt I got.
Yeah, right. Sorry, it was the first picture on my camera roll. I had to upload an avatar real quick, and it was the last picture I took was me in my Kansas City Chiefs and my Hello Kitty trousers.
Woo! Tell you what, you guys are the absolute best, and I will see you back here tomorrow talking about Harmony Montgomery. Is everyone going to be here? Put a 1 in chat if you're going to be here at 9 a.m. Central. And if not, we'll catch you back on Monday. You guys are the absolute best.
Thanks,
Love you. Love you all. Love you, Yoda.